Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining. Today I'm going to be discussing my film analysis that I did on Spike Lee, the American auteur. So for some background about Spike Lee, he was born Shelton Jackson Lee on March 20th, 1957. He was actually born in Atlanta, Georgia, but moved to Brooklyn, New York while he was a young child. He was nicknamed Spike by his mother due to his pugnacious attitude and his aggressive behavior, and that is where he got the name Spike. So this is the infographic I did for Spike Lee. As you can see, he's produced over 35 films. His net worth is over $50 million. He was nominated for 6 Academy Awards and 4 Emmy Awards. And I did include these 2 quotes that I really appreciate. He said, "What's the difference between Hollywood characters and my characters? Mine are real." And we'll discuss this further about how some of his films are semi-autobiographical and include parts of his childhood as well. As many of you know, Roger Ebert, who passed, was a highly revered film critic. And what he said about Spike Lee is the following. He said, "Every Lee film is an exercise in empathy. He's not interested in congratulating the black people in his audience or condemning the white ones. He puts human beings on the screen and asks his audience to walk a little within their shoes." Now, this is incredibly important to understanding Spike Lee as an American auteur, and we will discuss this further shortly. So for this analysis, I viewed Do the Right Thing, which is from 1989. And this is about growing up in a very hot day in Brooklyn amidst some racial tensions. I viewed 25th Hour, which is from 2002. And this film follows a white gentleman through the last 24 hours of freedom before he's supposed to go to prison. Lastly, I watched Black Klansman, which is from 2018. This one's actually based off of a true story out of Colorado about an African-American gentleman, police officer that infiltrated the KKK. One of the most important things I can share about Spike Lee is his willingness to broach difficult, touchy subjects. He has made a point throughout his career to illuminate issues in society and bring them to light and address them. And that can make people uncomfortable, and he has received critique for it. But I personally admire his willingness to bring these things to light. So some of the common themes are race relations, for sure, urban crime, poverty, police brutality, and political issues like gun control and that kind of thing. And during an interview with Paste magazine, he talked about his 2015 film, Chirac. And he said, "Chirac speaks to everyone. 90 Americans die every day due to gun violence. 90. And the myth that gun violence only happens in Chirac or Philadelphia or Baltimore, Murderland, or South Central LA is a lie. Gun violence affects all Americans everywhere. It's a disgrace that 90 Americans die every day due to gun violence. That number could be much smaller if common sense gun laws were put into effect." So to continue on with the same line, he has the distinct way of illuminating uncomfortable truths. And he is fairly unbiased, and he does address not just crimes against the black community, but also black on black violence. And his 2015 film Chirac tackles black on black violence. And he said, a writer from the Paste magazine made the following comment about this. He said, "Police brutality is a problem in this country. Disturbed people have easy access to guns and a problem in this country. But a culture of African Americans killing African Americans is a problem in this country too. And that's a message a white filmmaker couldn't have brought to the table." Now, I thought this was really profound because it does truly explain who Spike Lee is as an auteur. He does tackle these issues, and it's not just the white on black violence, as I just mentioned. He tackles the other issues, black on black violence, and there are no asides. As I mentioned, race relations is one of the most prevalent themes, definitely in Do the Right Thing. Roger Ebert had the following to say about it. I believe that any good-hearted person, white or black, will come out of this movie with sympathy for all the characters. Lee does not ask us to forgive them or even to understand everything they do, but he wants us to identify with their fears and frustrations. Do the Right Thing doesn't ask its audiences to choose sides. It is scrupulously fair to both sides in a story where it is our society itself that is not fair. And this is a fantastic quote that I hope brings together the issues that Spike Lee has addressed over the years and brought to light. So, setting is also another big part of Lee's films. A great deal of his films are set in urban areas. And as I mentioned before, he moved to Brooklyn as a child, so he grew up in Brooklyn. And his experiences in Brooklyn, in the inner city, were a big contributor to the themes of his films. And because of this, we can consider some of his films to be autobiographical. He shares some of the experiences that he's gone through in this urban life growing up. And so it kind of adds a more truer perspective, and it was really interesting to find out that he incorporates some of his own experiences. And as you can see, here are a couple pictures from a few of his films. So when you think of the urban inner city, you think of gated businesses, dilapidated structures, graffiti-covered buildings, a lot of trash along the streets and things like that. And a lot of times he does film on location in these urban areas too. So it's very authentic as well. I must say his artistic approach is one of my favorite things about Spike Lee. Characters address the camera directly at many different points, almost as if they're speaking directly to the audience. And as I mentioned, a lot of the things he covers are controversial. So I see that as a way of his direct communication with the camera, illustrating his attempt to address all viewers simultaneously and share a message through his film. And oftentimes the characters speak very rhythmically and philosophically, and this direct camera address is a very unique thing that he does in many of his films. One of my favorite things to learn also about his artistic style was the double dolly shot. And the double dolly shot was popularized in his 1990 film, Mo Better Blues. And it's kind of become a staple technique in a lot of his films. And essentially, they put the actor and the camera on dollies. And it makes it look as if the characters are moving around motionless while scenery is going by in the background. And I included a GIF here, which is from Malcolm X with Denzel Washington, which was also a great film. But as you can see, it adds this very cool artistic perspective, and it's an awesome camera technique that is very exciting to witness. So as I mentioned, Spike Lee is known for bringing controversial issues to light, and he uses his artistic style to bring his films to life and communicate with the audience and share a message and provoke thought. And that's one of the most important things I hope that you could take away from this, that he's not just someone trying to make film. He's trying to address societal issues and speak to people and make them see things in a better light. And he's revered for his incorporation and promotion of black talent in the film industry, which is also important for the African American community. And he was a big contributor to making that happen. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I highly encourage you to explore some of his films and I have no doubt that you will appreciate the artistic techniques that he uses. I found them incredibly interesting and just really enjoyable to watch. Thank you.